looking at the matchup between OU and BYU, what are you watching for with OU's defense against BYU's offense?
It's interesting. When I was watching them, and I the only way I can explain BYU's offense is unremarkable. I don't know what their identity is. I usually, whenever you come across someone as an offense, you say, okay, you watch them and there's like a trend, like, okay, they're a physical run team, or, they like to be aggressive and push the ball down the field, or there's usually some type of identity, like they're an up-tempo team, or they're just going to be a heavy run team. They're going to live and die by the run, and fully commit to it with a bunch of different, variety and schemes that they'll get to. They're unremarkable. They don't have what I would consider a identity in the run game. You'll get, a lot of the same stuff we see from everyone. You'll see a little bit of the GT counter. They'll do the quarterback GT counter where they've got like the quick off of it, and then the GT counter the other way. We've seen that from people. They'll do some zone insert stuff. They'll run the quick on some of the jet sweep stuff. That's really it. The interesting thing is, they're one of the few teams, and I know that they've been behind in a lot of games, but they're a heavy pass team. I was going through the film and watching some games, and I'm like, what's the deal here? I feel like all they do is throw the football. And sure enough, you look and they're a heavy pass team. 338 pass to 285 run. One of the few teams in the Big 12 that throws it more than they run it. And even in the running game or the pass game, it's just like a smattering of all of your, kind of your typical pass stuff. They'll run a lot. I would say the thing that I saw that they were most effective at is they'll throw the bubble stuff a lot. And I mean, I wouldn't say they're great at it, but I mean, they commit to throwing the short stuff. They'll run all curls, sail route. They'll run spacing. They'll do spacing out of empty and out of like 3x1. You'll see the China stuff with the smash 7. They down on the goal line, you'll see some individual things. They like the pivot, and they'll throw some tunnel screen. It's just like it's like the most vanilla offense I've ever seen. Now, their offensive line, from what I see, they protect good in the pass game. Seem like they protect well. Not very aggressive. Don't blow you off the football in the run game. It looks like they've moved some guys around on the offensive line. Their most recent lineup is gigantic. That right guard, they had their right tackle and right guard are both like 6'9", 340 pounds. But they've kind of moved around. I think the guy that had played right guard was playing left tackle earlier.
So the guy that was playing right guard is Caleb Etienne, who played left tackle for Oklahoma State last year. And for those of you that have been loyal listeners of this podcast, he absolutely stinks.
Just a big body.
He is the right side of their offensive line in their last football game was as bad of a group as you're going to find in the Big 12 conference. They may be huge, Ted. They're awful. Their left tackle is a complete stud. Kingsley Suamataia, he's going to be an early round type draft pick.
Was he hurt at some point?
I think so.
Because Etienne was playing left tackle earlier for a game or two. So
yeah, banged up. But the offensive line, when you talk about their offense's struggles, and they have struggled mightily to run the football. They can't run the football. They just
90
can't.
yards a game, dead last in the Big 12 by a huge margin.
They have really struggled, and it has everything to do with, other than the left tackle, their offensive line is, I mean, the center's okay. Their offensive line is bad. It's the worst offensive line in the Big 12.
I thought the left guard at least shows some physicality at times, but it's just, man, it's so vanilla. Now Slovis is supposedly back. He's got a big arm. I mean, he can make all the throws. He'll put it in trouble though. You know, he'll throw it into trouble. The running backs struggle in pass protection, not good in pass protection. The tight end is not a strong blocker in any of the stuff they're asking him at the point of attack in the run game. You know, and listening to BV, they do some gadget stuff, like, and they've had some success with some gadget stuff. But I mean, without just sounding horrible, they're last in total offense in the Big 12 by a huge margin. They're last in rushing offense in the Big 12 by a huge margin. They're just flat out not good on offense, Gabe. I don't know what else to really say, you know?
I think you're being kind. I think they stink.
Yeah, they do.
And they've got quarterback issues, right? BV mentioned it on Monday at Rudy's. They think Slovis is going to be back. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for them. Now, the Retzloff kid, the 12 who's come in for him, he's not a good thrower. But at least he adds the mobility element to it, because he can run a little bit. So I almost expect to see both guys at quarterback.
Mm-hmm. The thing I liked about him over Slovis is he has a way quicker release. So when they're doing some of like the bubble stuff or just the quick throws outside, it happens way faster and he puts the ball on him way quicker. And he's got just a little bit of shake and can get upfield and get a first down or something on a third and medium. But man, outside of that, it's hard to find a whole lot to really be worried about offensively from them.
Chase Roberts, number 2, the wide receiver, has made kind of some circus catches this year. He's a big physical guy. He's 6'4". Isaac Rex, the tight end, big body, like you mentioned, struggles at the point of attack as a blocker, but is a nice weapon at tight end. He's 6'6". They've got some size at the pass catching positions, but there's just very little threat when it comes to the run game. So you can really focus on those guys. And I guess LJ Martin, their freshman running back, may be back for this game as well. He's missed some time throughout the season, but still, all of their issues, in my opinion, start up front. I think their offensive line, except for Suamataia at the left tackle spot, I think their offensive line stinks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, if you're just kind of, if you're average or below average personnel wise across the board, and I think that they easily check that box, like in order to give people trouble, you have to really scheme some things and find a way to chisel away with what some of your strengths may be or where you can. But I don't see that at all. I just continue to see like the most vanilla. Usually you get more vanilla as your personnel gets better and better. And that's not the case with them. Like their personnel is not very good and they don't do very much. I think we may shut them out.
I don't think that's unreasonable. I'll tell you right now, if they move the football and score some points, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Yeah, I agree.
With the way that this O-line looks, with the product, the offensive product that this team has put on the field the last several weeks, I think the only way BYU scores a lot of points in this game is if the Sooners just show up without the proper focus.
Yeah.
Right. Without the proper mentality. That's the offense is bad. There's just no way around it. Like
No way
you look
around
at the stats, you look at the personnel, you look at the film, it's all bad. It's bad.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I would say, and I don't, it's not sustainable, but if they were to hit you on a gadget play or on a one-off go ball, something like that, but like I can see them scoring off of maybe a couple of big plays, gotcha plays, but I don't see any way that they have a sustained offense for 4 quarters against our defense. Things happen. You show up sometimes, you just don't have it. But considering everything that's on the line and it feels like we're kind of in a nice groove defensively, I would be shocked if we didn't have a really, really good day on defense.
I'm with you. Anything else? OU's defense versus BYU's offense.
I don't think so.
All right, let's.
The offensive line, like we've had a tick down a little bit in some of our sacks and tackles for loss. This could be a big game for it, as slow as they are on the offensive line. They may not run it a whole lot for some of the TFL stuff, but we should have some opportunities.
I'm with you. All right, looking at OU's offense versus BYU's defense. First of all, I think the most important thing in this football game when it comes to being on the field for OU's offense and OU's defense, you got to wear the right cleats. Ted, the amount of people slipping on BYU's field, it's just insane. Yeah. It's insane to watch on tape. And now it's getting patchy. Like there's some dead spots, some spots are green. It looks awful. It looks like they're giving the people in Ames a run for their money for the worst field in the conference.
I was shocked whenever I don't know why I thought that they had turf. Did they previously have turf?
I don't think so.
Okay,
maybe.
Well, I saw it and I was like, oh God, it looks like the Bears field. It's like that super thick, slow grass, and it comes up and it's super like really soft on the surface. It comes up in big chunks. Horrible.
I've got a clip for you. I forgot to send it to you. A defensive tackle for them getting double teamed, and he's literally sliding for 10 yards. He's on his feet, but he's sliding for 10
yards. It's terrible. And I had a long conversation with BV about it, just kind of during breaks and stuff. And, because they got the guys that are going to be wearing the screw ends and stuff. I personally hate screw ends. I think they're the worst cleats to wear because you don't have as many cleats on the bottom. And like, if you get on the side, you slip out on the, cause it's got like the plastic on the sides, but some guys are going to be going with those. They've been wearing them in practice to get ready for it.
Looking at the defense, a very aggressive 4-3 defense. Now, this is interesting, Ted. They do something that you don't see a lot of. When you go sub personnel, which is what OU operates in 100% of the time, right? 11 personnel and 10 personnel. The way that they handle it, they take their Sam backer and move him to Mike, and their Mike backer comes off the field. They take one of their starting corners on the outside, bump him into nickel, and then they bring another outside corner on the field. You don't see people do that. It's interesting.
It's funny you say that. Whenever I was in Detroit, we did that. I played Sam in the base package and played Mike in the nickel package. And Dre Bly, who was one of our corners, would come and play nickel and would bring in an extra corner. It's funny, but yeah, that was a rare case of that. So yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe you could go on the field and talk to AJ Vompachon about it, because they ask him to do a lot there at the backer position. But I think the most important thing offensively in this game is recognizing the front that they are in. They change it up a lot. Now, they will be in a normal 4 defensive lineman front. Then they'll jump into bear with all 5 offensive linemen covered, right? They'll bring that Sam backer onto the ball. They will do some stuff where linebackers are walked up over guards. They'll walk linebackers up over tackles. They do a lot of different things to get you thinking from a front perspective. And whether it's run, pass, RPO, whatever, you have to communicate the front because blocking schemes are all dictated by the front. So it's going to be loud. From what I understand, those fans show up no matter what. The communication of the front and what they're in and where you're going, no matter what the call is, has to be clear. It's got to be effective. It's got to be relayed down the line. It's got to be relayed to everyone. Backs, tight ends, everyone needs to know. I say it all the time. No secrets on the road. No secrets on the road. Make sure everyone's on the same page. You have to avoid major miscommunications that can result in unblocked guys, because that can result in catastrophic mistakes. That cannot happen. So first and foremost, communicate the front, make sure everyone is on the same page. And if you do that, it's going to be a big day offensively because their defense isn't any good. They're not very good. They are going to dial up pressure. However, I was stunned how aggressive they are defensively watching them on tape. And they can't sit in base defense and hold up against OU. They just can't. And when they've played some RPO heavy teams, it's almost as if they've gone, forget all that. We don't want to put our linebackers in those positions. We're playing man coverage. We're playing cover one, snap after snap after snap. They played TCU, and I want to say 15 of the first 20 snaps they're in man, which is a lot. Mm-hmm. So they've shown a tendency to be very aggressive when it comes to bringing pressure, especially from the inside linebacker position. Those guys are coming a lot. Crossfire is something that they love. So clearly when they bring those pressures, the defensive line is going to move. So OU's offensive line, the backs, the tight ends, you have to anticipate some of that movement because the pressure is coming. And when the pressure is coming, the line is going to move. You can't be surprised by any of that stuff. So that is something that they're going to need to be locked in on. One thing I'm curious about, Ted, is the tempo. What's it look like in this game? I think you can play slow and line up against BYU and knock them off the football and be just fine. There's also the altitude piece of this. And I thought Lebby did a really nice job mixing speeds against West Virginia. I don't think this is a team you need to go super fast against. And I just don't know, like, are our guys going to be able to breathe in the altitude? That's something you really don't think about except for this game. So I don't know, man. What do you think? I think that you can play fast. I know you want to jump on them. I know you want to score fast. I get that, but there's some interesting factors when it comes to how fast you play as an offense in this game.
Yeah. I think we'll play fast early, meaning early in the game. I think we'll play fast early in drives. As drives go on, I think we'll slow down because of the just being able to breathe and the altitude. And I think as I expect we really control the game, I think we'll slow way down as the game rolls on. I mean, I know that Lebby and the offense would love to go in there and put up 80 points and, have a bunch of guys score and, have, come out of that game feeling super confident. But you're kind of at the point now where it's about like win the game, win it in really good fashion, but let's get the heck out of there as fast as we can with as many healthy guys as we can. So I think early in the football game, you'll probably see us use some tempo, but as the thing wears on, hopefully we're able to get away from it.
I like where your head's at. So some run game thoughts. I'm just going to be real. OU should be able to run their base stuff and have success against this defense. The defensive line is very average. Now, they play with great effort. There's just you cannot question that group's effort. But they just don't have a lot of size on the interior, and they don't have a lot of length on their defensive line as a whole. Now, 92 Tyler Batty at defensive end, I think he's their best player on defense. I love the motor that he plays with. He's fun to watch. But other than that, I'm sure he'll win some reps, but OU's offensive line should be able to block these guys. So I'm expecting the bread and butter stuff. Inside zone, zone insert, split zone, one back power, GY counter, GT counter. The bread and butter, baby. I don't think you need to do anything other than that. I don't think you need to get overly complicated with it. I think you have to be able to just run it right at these guys with what they've shown. One thing, Caden Green, captain. How about that?
Yeah, that's
Captain
awesome.
Caden Green. Sorry, Caden. Excuse me. Captain Green has to get his pads down on 62. He is listed at 6'1", defensive tackle. Ted, if he's 6'1", I'm 6'10". Because there is no chance that's accurate. He looks like a fire hydrant out there in Caden Green. You cannot let a guy like that. Caden Green hasn't played a defensive tackle like this. You cannot let him get under your pads. And the same goes for Rames. Sometimes Rames' pads can get a little vertical. Those guys, when they're blocking 62, get your pads down because he's a stout fella. Yeah. Their linebackers, they do not do a good job of getting off blocks. So once again, bread and butter concepts in the run game. I do think 31 Max Tooley, if you're running to the edges, 31 can run. I mean, he can absolutely run and go get the ball if it's going outside, but he gets lost quite a bit. He'll make a few plays. He'll make a play or two where you're like, dang, okay, that guy can go a little bit. But other than that, Ted, I really think they can just keep it simple in the run game. Obviously, you dress some of those concepts up with shifts and motions, but I'm not expecting anything elaborate, and I don't think it takes anything elaborate to run the football. I'm excited to see Sawchuk continue to develop. It feels like there's been some significant improvement from him over these last couple of weeks. I think that their safeties really struggle to tackle in space. I think he's got the opportunity to rip off some big-time runs in this game.
Yeah. One thing to think about, and kind of a fair warning for fans, be prepared for depending on how the game goes, possibly a strange play calling day. Whenever you get to a point and you have a game where maybe you're going to be up by a lot, you can start to manipulate your tendencies, right? Because as the season unfolds and you find some things that you're good at and you're having success with, you start to lean towards those things, and it will show up in your tendencies and the statistics for run pass, out of formations and out of personnel. And you're a heavy left-handed run team or you're a heavy right-handed run team. And whenever you have an opportunity to try and get those things back to where there's not tendencies, it can often lead to some weird play calling out there. So just kind of be ready for some of that, maybe running plays out of weird formations and weird personnel groupings.
They're bad enough to where you can do some things. That's what you're saying. You're saying it nicely, but that is, that's a great thought. A few past game thoughts. I think they're going to play with an aggressive mentality defensively. I think they're going to bring a lot of pressure. I think they're going to play cover one behind it. Now, they do some zone blitzing where they're playing two deep safeties behind it. I don't think they have a group up front that can win with a four-man rush. Now, Tyler Batty, 92, once again, he's had some nice moments as a pass rusher, but that's really it when it comes to guys that can just win one-on-ones. They've had very little rush from the interior of their defensive line, so I think they're going to have to dial up blitzes to get to Dylan Gabriel. This is one thing. As good as Sawchuk has been running the football, he has had some rough moments in pass protection. He had some good moments in pass protection against West Virginia, but they are going to test him in this game. They are going to make him pass protect in this game. They love bringing those inside backers. Buckle up, Gavin Sawchuk. I mean, there are going to be some pass protection collisions in this game, and I'm excited to see how he handles that, because there are going to be a lot of those situations, most likely. So that's something to watch. I think it could be another big day for Drake in the slot. I think their best players on defense are their corners. Number 5, Eddie Heckard, and 0, Jacob Robinson. Now, Heckard bumps to nickel when they're playing sub defense. And it could just be him and Drake one-on-one. And at this point in time, with the way that Drake is playing, I like that matchup. With what he's shown as a route runner this season, if they're just going to play man on him, I really like that matchup. Now, Heckard is he's a very handsy player. You can tell he's kind of built like a running back. Looks strong, but I'll take my chances with that matchup, man. Give me Drake. I don't know if it's going to be another 164-yard day or whatever, but if they're going to play him man-to-man, he's a hell of a route runner. He may shake him a couple times, and that may result in some huge gains.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Drake Stoops has a chance to be the leading receiver in the Big 12. He's already there in receptions. He's got a chance in yards. I think he's 90 yards or so behind. Is it the guy from UCF or Houston? I can't remember, but he's got a chance to be the number 1 receiver in the Big 12. The coaches know that. They're aware of that. And the heater that he's on, I mean, it's a nice thing to be able to check that box at the end of the season to have the leading receiver in the conference. It wouldn't shock me if we make it a point to go to Drake Stoops a ton in this game.
It would not surprise me at all. Now, they also, I was thinking about the big day that Drake could have. And now he's only in conference games only. Teddy's only 15 yards behind Javon Baker from UCF. So,
yeah,
that's pretty dang good. But
really good.
They bracketed Jalen Knoll from Iowa State a little bit, right? Where they were paying extra attention to him at some points when he was in the slot. Part of me wonders if Drake has earned that type of respect with what he's done the last 2 weeks. Now, Drake's not a burner like Knoll is from Iowa State, but it's just something to keep an eye on. It could BYU's defense go, you know what? Anyone else but 12.
Right. Yeah. Well, he could still, on the shorter stuff, it's not like we are, if that's something they want to do, we have ways to absolutely make them pay for doing that. You want to overemphasize your coverage onto one guy, we're good enough to make them pay. And I know that DG and Levy and those guys will find those options out there. So I don't know. That's one of the things I'm most interested to see is how does Drake Stoops keep his run going? Does he keep his run going?
I think the opportunities are going to be there unless they double team him. But the wide receivers as a whole, you got to play physical. This is a team that's going to challenge you at the line of scrimmage, at the defensive back position. They're going to grab you. They're going to hold you. You have to play the position with a high level of physicality in this game. And then you have to be effective, right? Rub routes, all kinds of different things, your mesh concepts. But you also you got to run away from guys. You got to run away from guys. And I think that we've got the speed at the wide receiver position to do some of that stuff. And if DG has time, which I believe he will in this game, it should be an extremely efficient day throwing the football for the Sooners, because I think the wide receivers can win all over the place against this group. And once again, if you're going to attack any group on this team, I think you attack the safeties. I do not think they run well as a group. So I'm excited to see what it looks like, but I will be shocked if OU does not have a really efficient day offensively.
Yeah, I agree. It should be I'll be shocked if we don't have an all around just offense, defense, special teams, clean day, workman-like day, get in there, take care of business, and get out as soon as possible.